Welcome back to an all-new installment of Super Metal Brothers here on the old podcast. I am Super Metal Brother Matt.
And I'm Super Metal Brother Dan.
And welcome back, Danny, from a superb trip to Europe land, where we saw plenty of music, saw plenty of nice venues, and got to know a bit of the history about it. How was your time there?
Oh, Europe was great, especially Camden, for those people who haven't been in London. It's pretty much just like metal, hardcore, punk, central. There's like, within like stone's throw away, there's like 4 or 5 different metal venues and pubs you can just go to and chill out. And right next door, there's a Camden horse stable markets, and they're also quite good.
Yeah, look, it was amazing. It's like having well, I wouldn't say 24-hour, unfortunately, but it's as close as you're going to get to it any night of the week. If you are bored and you need metal in your life and you've just been missing it, you just head down there, pay, your $10 for a beer, and off you go with some great music. So, but we're not here just to talk about that. We're going to talk you through all news headlines. We're going to give a rundown on something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the top 7 albums from Killswitch Engage, and getting Adam D's take on those ones. And to finish it up, we're actually going to talk about the big part of our trip, which was Grasspop. And funny enough, there was also another band that we went to go see, Danny.
Oh, yes. This was well, for me, especially the highlight of our trip. And it's actually the epicenter and our focus. We planned our Europe trip around this. And I'm not sure if I should tell you who the band is now, or if I should make you wish upon the stars and look up to your sky when it rains. You might see a certain bow there. Yes, you've guessed it. It's Black Sabbath. Rainbow.
Oh, Danny, I think anyone over the age of 50 would have got that line, but glad for anyone who doesn't know, we did go see the Richie Blackmore's Rainbow Experience, but there's actually something to talk about that. The rainbow's in quotations, really, isn't it, Danny?
Yeah, I think the Richie Blackmore part experience is good. Rainbow is just like it's a tribute to some of their music. It's just a Richie Blackmore show, and that's how it was always going to be.
Yeah, so make sure you come and listen to what we have to say right at the end of the podcast. Right, so stick around the whole time to hear our thoughts on Richie Blackmore's experience. But first, let's talk the news. Danny, first up, one of your favourite bands, Iron Maiden, has gotten outside the realm of music and gotten into video games for the second time, though.
That's right, second time. For you kids out there, as in your millennials, there used to be things called CDs, right? And these CDs were not just used to scare birds away from fruit trees, as
all the Italians in our audience.
Hey, Mum. Or used as coasters as an inside joke, you would get it. But back in late 1990s, Iron Maiden first came out with Ed Hunter, the video game, which is pretty much just a one-player shoot-'em-up game. Which
it was a terrible one-player shoot-'em-up game.
I wouldn't say terrible. I just wouldn't want to put much thought in remembering it. You know?
Exactly. If you did, you'd be paying for bills like, who knows? Probably about the whole thing about suicide would be one thing, or at least seeing some major shrink. Yeah, definitely.
Actually, the soundtrack was great, and being a first-person shooter, you expect it to be somewhat focused around a war of some degree, being Iron Maiden, but it wasn't all just about shooting eddies and monsters and people like that.
Yeah, so that game's actually been released today. We actually haven't played it, but if you want to get our thoughts on that, make sure you check us out next week. If you want to hear about it, we might get the game on our old Android or iPhone. If you've got the iPhone, it also runs with that.
So this one's called Legacy of the Beast. It's the new game. So watch out. I mean, Iron Maiden, they're pretty much the king of diversifying their merchandise or their money stream. So
yeah,
I think it's just another way for them to
look. At the end of the day, they've had the plane. They've retired the Ed Force 1, so I can only imagine now they're looking for the Ed Force 2 is some sort of helicopter or nuclear submarine. Yeah. They must have something else on the line.
Bring back the Concorde, I reckon. So why not that?
You get those Airbuses, an Air Force Bus 1 or something.
Oh yeah, each of them can have like a little cabin to sleep in with, man. They are getting older. They have
floor to sleep on.
Yeah, that's right. They're getting older now. They got to think about that. And you fly in luxury when you're a bit older now. They've done the hard yards. Why not?
Well, from one band with a major legacy to another, Megadeth with their ever continuing rotating roster, Chris Alder, who was replacing the previous drummer, is also retired to focus on Lamb of God. Danny, does that upset you as a not really a Megadeth fan?
Not really, as a not really Megadeth fan. It does not really upset me at all. Not really, Matt. Really?
Well, you know what?
Maybe.
That's fine, because we can move on to our next line of business, which is, funny enough, we're going to give something for the listener, and that's about child rearing. Because obviously when you think about growing up your child in the best way possible, you think of Super Metal Brothers.
Yeah, no, I think listening to metal your whole life puts you in good stead to make yourself a very mediocre podcast like we do. So I think listening to metal from your childhood is a good way to start.
Well, that's exactly right. The website White has this person called Mr. Know-It-All. So, I mean, with a name like that, surely you can entrust with the development of your loved ones, surely.
Sure, you want them to check the reverse lights of your car every now and then with that name.
Oh, well, aside from making sure your kids don't go into the bottom cabinet of your kitchen, you also can let them now listen to, and I don't believe this, no, I do actually. There's zero evidence that one kind of music helps cognitive development more than another. So if your kid wants to listen to death metal, so if you want your kid to listen to death metal or to pop music or to jazz, apparently there's no difference. Danny, do you believe that?
Yeah. Maybe, okay, cognitive development is one thing, but human development, I think that's probably something which really... Right. I don't know too many metalheads who go into like a coffee bar and order like a decaf skinny mocha flat white, which is the chocolate you spring on the top has to be like organic. I don't hear too many metalheads who order stuff like that. So there must be a certain genre of music you keep playing your kids when they're young who grow up to be obnoxious, know-it-all, social justice warriors, which no one really likes. So no, I think for cognitive development, okay, yeah, maybe to a point. Yeah. But when you want to talk to people, you want to be friends with people, you want a whole experience. You just don't want to focus on cognitive development.
Did you know, speaking about things that people didn't like, apparently Kurt Hammett didn't like Lars Urich back in 1986. In fact, there was plans to get rid of Lars. Could you imagine Megadeth? I'm sorry. Could you imagine Metallica not having Lars Urich as a drummer?
Yeah, first that was a great segue, man, like we did there. Did not rehearse that at all. But no, I have dreamt about Lars Urich not being a drummer of Metallica.
Could you imagine? Like maybe the drum kit would have been on Sanger, or maybe those like chewing gum interviews would never be there ever again. Yeah. Like it's funny though because Metallica, the drumming has become iconic for the sense that it does what it needs. But I remember times not hearing or seeing certain songs played live, and it's because Lars Urich couldn't do it. So songs like Dire Z from the Justice for All album, I don't know what he did during the recording process, but they couldn't play that song live because he couldn't handle the double kick. So could you imagine a drummer that could? I guess it... Could you?
Well, no. Well, to be fair, no one really goes as a fan of Metallica due to their drums. They don't really they love the riffs and the lyrics. So, look, if they got a better drummer, would Metallica still be successful? Yes, they stuck with Lars. It's still a great success. So I don't know. Having Lars in the band, no, it's made it funny for the rest of us because he gives hope to the average man that yes, you too can be a lead musician in a band.
You practice 10 minutes a day, you can be in Metallica. So we'll go to our next story with Decapitated. Now this is from one drummer who's probably hit the snare bum once or twice every 2 to 3 seconds to a drum that can hit it twice every 2 milliseconds. This is Decapitated. Now, Decapitated are actually going through problems at the moment because they are alleging their label, Earache Records, have not paid them for their first 4 albums, Danny. Did you know that the label was so apparently dodgy?
No. I think that's a big problem. A lot of these bands, they just get sucked into record companies and one, they don't read their the contract properly, or right. 2, they just get screwed over because of the record companies are just dicks. Man.
Yeah, well, Decapitated actually did devolve that they did actually sign this as teenagers going into it. I'm sure the label promised them all sorts of things like honey and the ladies, and also
Ed Force 2
and Ed Force. Oh, exactly,
yeah.
the Airbus.
The Airbus.
But what they must doing now to make sure they get those royalties back that they so deserve is they're raising money for a lawyer. So maybe in the form of a Patreon or a video game, they can raise some funds for that.
Yeah, I mean, they could bust down their main street in the town, but I don't think too many people would actually give them money for being a metal band. Especially Decapitated, they're not really...
They really deserve, I mean...
Yeah, great.
They haven't really released a bad album. You might not like an album much as in another album, but each one has some really awesome riffs to it. I mean, we're talking money riffs when we're talking about their Boarded album. Oh, the latest stuff, especially the second half, that's got it all, hasn't it?
Yeah. No, Decapitated was quite enjoyable. We actually saw them live as well, I believe.
Yeah, we saw him with Suffocation back in the old Adelaide, and they provided an amazing performance. They had a great set list. Check them out, and hopefully they get that money back. Talking about some really interesting news now with John Sankey. Now, Danny, John Sankey, funny enough, he's an Aussie.
I was not aware of this.
And also, he actually was previously in a band called Devil You Know. Now, you might know Devil You Know from Howard Jones. And where's Howard Jones from, Danny?
Well, you'll find out later. It's from a certain band called Killswitch Engage.
Killswitch
So,
Engage.
There's a nice tie-in there. Nice tie-in. Stay tuned.
So Jonas Ankley's left his band Devil You Know, and now he's concentrating all his efforts on Legion Australian the Legion Australian Metal Fest. Now, funny, Danny, we actually talked about this in our last podcast.
That's true. So we'll wait until you go back and listen to that podcast. And
We'll sit here.
we'll sit there. Yeah, we'll sit there.
We'll make sure.
I got my knitting needles. I can pretend to know what I'm doing.
So all the best of luck for John Sankey, and hopefully he can really get really behind it. He's obviously spending a lot of time with it. Make sure you guys support it when it comes out. Finishing it off, though, Danny, let's leave it on a high note as well. As you know, Lamb of God have announced tours with Slipknot, but they actually recently announced tour dates in Adelaide and Perth.
Yeah, they're going to do the standard East Coast tour and pretend that the Middle and West Coast doesn't exist.
Like so many other metal bands, Symphony X.
But hey, look, as I said last time, I'm just glad they come to Australia. Maybe that we don't know about a visa requirement, like to come to South Australia and like West Australia. Maybe there's something we just don't know about being people who live here. We take it for granted. So
yeah, like a really strict thing on like fruit or like minorities or something that we don't know about.
Yeah, it could be that. So yeah.
Well, they let us into customs back though, so I'm sure they can't be that picky about people they let in the country.
Nah, you just give them a wink and a smile. You get it anywhere, man.
Well, that police officer to me was super friendly, so props to him and that. So let's move on to the headlines. Danny, let's talk our headline feature presentation for today, and that is Killswitch Engage. We talked about them with the review of their last album, Incarnate, but funny enough, Adam D has some words for us.
Yeah, I guess, who better to give us a rundown on the best Killswitch albums and the guy who pretty much writes all the albums, and Adam D. Did you what is this? I can't remember how to pronounce his surname.
I wrote Adam D. Yeah, that's what he goes by in Metal Injection. So that's what he goes by here.
One-time Price is Right winner in America.
Oh,
yeah, that was
if you haven't
awesome.
do it, go see it. I think he ended up just selling all of his stuff. Smart move as a metalhead. You really can't afford a jet ski worth $20,000, let alone finding water in the States, apart from the East Coast, I guess.
Well, actually, yeah. Well, if he's in California, good luck finding water there, mate.
Yeah, but here we go. We're going to talk about to you the worst to best Killswitch Engage albums as voted by Adam D on Metal Injection. More importantly, though, we're going to give our comments on it because I know this is why you tune in to Super Metal Brothers every week.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start it off, Danny. The worst album, or the one he likes the least, I like to think this one's the worst because it kind of is the 2009 release, self-titled Killswitch Engage. Do you know much about this album, Danny?
Honestly, I don't know too much about the 2009 Killswitch Engage album. More so because there probably was many big hits on that album.
That album is definitely a struggle town. I can't think of anything. I've got the album myself personally, and nothing of it stands out. There's some riffs maybe towards the end of the album, but nah, you're doing well. Adam D on point. He acknowledges that it's his least favorite album, and yeah, I'm agreeing with him. Danny, it looks like you're siphoning through the CD. Is there anything you wanted to make a note on?
No.
Good. We're going to talk about the second least favorite. So this is coming in at number 6. Funny enough, it's also called Killswitch Engage. Back when they first came out as a band in 2000. So for their 2000 release, their first EP was called Killswitch Engage. Now, me and Danny have no real recollection of this album, do we, Danny?
No, honestly, I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, look, I must admit, I actually been told by anyone to check it out, so we're going to skip past that one again. So, Metal Brothers.
Yeah, we know our stuff. Yeah, keep going.
Here's an album we do know. Okay, this one's called As Daylight Dies. This one comes in at number 5. Now, this album, for me, is definitely... I can see why I put it this far down the list, but above the other two, I can probably see why, because it does have some great songs off of it. The one that comes to mind is definitely Reject Yourself, the last track. Amazing. A real pumping, heart-pumping one, ready to go. Daylight Dies, This Is Absolution. But also probably their famous songs from this album, The Arms of Sorrow and My Curse, which is typical Killswitch with those heavy riffs and those nice little breaks as well.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good album. Exactly right. Those a lot of songs, like Matt just pointed out, which you can really get along. They're very memorable songs to you. So I do rate this album. I think this is actually a bit low. I think going to the next album, I think this one definitely should jump up.
Well, it's funny.
Position.
It's funny now because coming in at number 5 is actually Incarnate, which was the album that me and Daniel reviewed. So he's actually put this one lower on the list. Now, I can definitely agree that it deserves the spot probably lower, seeing as what the albums we're going to cover in a sec. But did you want to see this lower, Danny?
As in, I don't rate it as well as the other ones. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're trying to get at. Yeah, I think this one here came this year. Like we actually talked about it on previous podcast. Again, we'll wait for you to check out that
Wow, we are doing nothing this often.
interview. This is awesome, man. It's like when you watch those damn clip shows of like TV shows. Like, come on, man, that's laziness. You have all year to think of a show.
Yeah.
Well, we had, to be fair, we had 3 weeks to think of a show when we were in Europe. But hey, I was on holidays.
Yes,
It's my business.
Absolutely. So if you want our real thoughts on Incarnate, make sure you check out our podcast about it. But really, it's got some memorable moments on it. But in honesty, I thought Daylight Dies had the better songs were better.
Yeah, I think from Incarnate, I think we agree. There's like track 8. I think was like the best track, whatever that one's called. I can't remember now. Was kind of like the best track off the album. But the rest, yeah, if you go back and interview, we weren't too left with nice warm feelings inside. So I think it's too high on the table.
So we'll move it down. We're heading down to the list now to number 3. This one actually was the album just before Incarnate called Disarm the Descent. Now, this has a very similar feel to Incarnate, but I would agree that the songs that are better than Incarnate.
Yeah, and this was the return of Jesse as well. So all of the original Killswitch fans who fell in love with Jesse to start with were, it's nice to have him back there and did a great job,
Yeah, I remember I was super pumped and got the album and really expected to be blown away by it. But I was glad to hear Jesse, and there was kind of resurgence at the time as well, because you could tell that they were much happier. That was the start for me realizing that the old Killswitch might actually not exist anymore, because it really does feel like this was the safer wet nut. We're happy now. We got happier songs, and when they teased us with Incarnate with the extra tracks, which were really dark, depressing, and fast and heavy, I have very much mixed feelings about what's going on with Killswitch. But at the same time, I can't be too hard on them because they're still, write a good song.
Yeah, no, maybe that's what's happening now. That the romance of Jesse coming back was great, but now like all bands when they get back together, like wait a second. So I get back with the ex-girlfriend. It's like wait a second, this doesn't seem right. I don't know why we broke up to start with, so maybe there's a bit to that.
It's also got In Due Time on it, which when you go see it live, it is a song that everyone sings together and everyone has a great time to. So if anything, that album has that song on it. So
yeah, then that's enough.
Spoiling it at number 2, we're almost getting there, guys. And so far, we can obviously agree that the list is fairly strong. Maybe we would swap, the Daylight Dies and Incarnate, but now we're getting into the last 2. Now, I don't know if people will agree with it, but we definitely do. Finishing off at number 2 is The End of Heartache. Danny, End of Heartache obviously was the, I think, start of Howard Jones and a real start of a heavy sound that they embellished from the previous album before that, which we won't mention just yet. But a very strong, plenty of great songs that they still play to this day, and are really, really, really heavy.
Yeah, no, it's a great album. I think, I guess the pinnacle of the album was the Rose of Sharon, where we all, I remember actually one of my great experiences with that song, we were doing Soundwave, how long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and we were going into mosh, we were doing the whole, the circle pit stuff, and this song came on, and we're doing the circle pit, and then I just grabbed the guy next to me. We just started singing the lyrics to the song. I never knew who this bloke was. We were just belting the lyrics out, giving each other, embracing each other's awesomeness and the whole feeling. It was a very nice moment. So
absolutely,
that's one great thing that I got from this album.
Yeah, you have a lot of those moments that really can get the pit going, especially songs like A Bid Farewell. It was really, really strong stuff. It's really hard to really give you my favorite track off this album, but there are a couple of absolute critical hits off of it. And the Heartache's great. When Darkness Falls, really nice and catchy chorus. Take This Oath, they're really good songs. So make sure you check that out. But finishing at number 1, and I can definitely agree with this, and a lot of my friends in the metal community can. Alive or Just Breathing from 2002. Danny,
definitely.
This must be one of the albums that every metalhead should own.
It is. It's great. I think this is probably one of the first metal albums I actually really got into growing up as a rambunctious youth. I think I can call myself. So it's a great album. It is a great album if you want to transition people or get people into metal, because it has a lot of the melodic stuff and a bit of the heavy part of it as well. So it has it all. And part of the things you can sing along to, really catchy choruses. Like Last Serenade is probably I reckon the pinnacle of that album. It's
definitely the most remembered, probably because it has such a strong emotional connection to it with such a great chorus and some top riffs. But Number Days, Self-Resolution, The Sons of Man, for example, these songs just hit you, and like Dean was saying, it's a transition album, not just for people getting into metal, but people who are into different styles of metal. Like, this is, I guess, a hardcore band, but this album particularly has borrowed elements from thrash and some maybe death or blackened metal at times, just giving it a bit of a wink and a nod. And that's why they're so accessible, definitely at that time.
Yeah, and I think it's great. So I think we pretty much agree with Adam's tops.
Yeah.
7 or so. Yeah.
So he's got some self-awareness about him.
Yeah, it's good. Apart from, I still don't know about Incarnate. I don't know why they're so high. Maybe because he's just like still pushing the album because it came up this year. Like, it's awesome, but it's
totally. Great. Maybe in his head he's like, Daylight Dies is better, but he's got a soft start for Jesse, and maybe his romantic feelings are more stronger than his brain on the instrument, which is fine.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, I didn't actually see the interviews. I didn't see him sweat beads while he was saying that, or like him twitching when he said, Incarnate's my 4th favourite album. Yeah.
So from top to bottom, good on you, Adam D. Thank you for your comprehensive list. We've certainly enjoyed it. I'm sure our listeners have. But main presentation time, let's talk about Grasspop and then maybe talk about that Rainbow band that Danny so much loves.
I do love me some Rainbow.
So Belgium hosted us. They hosted us over a Friday day. We didn't get a chance to see the Saturday and Sunday from Grasspop, but we sure did see a ton of bands on the Friday. Danny, what was your initial reaction going through those pearly gates of divine, awesome bringingness?
Yeah, all of those feelings. But for me, I reckon, look, honestly, the first band we walked past one band and we heard like the last song. I think it was Bloodbound, the last 2 songs. But when we finally got to a band, when we got through the doors and was settled, the first band we saw was Firewind. Now, I've seen Firewind before in Brisbane, which was a great experience. I mean, they're very talented musicians, and I like being a bit of power metal. But the first, when I got there and I was sitting there embracing in like all the other metalheads, and there's like just a festival which is purely dedicated just for heavy metal, seeing everyone there and the culture and everything. I was actually overwhelmed. I was really touched and really just overwhelmed by the experience.
Yeah, the closest thing that people obviously will, or even when I did, was make a comparison to Soundwave. But for anyone who has never been to Grasspop, imagine Soundwave with basically 1 or 2 less stages, but a bigger playing ground, and also a dedication to metal fans with things like a metal market, for example. Like, you can go through there, and literally there's at least 24 stores that you can buy metal paraphernalia and accessories for your like CDs, cooking utensils, anything like that. Really, hey, Danny?
Yeah, and actually there was one store which was actually quite clever. It was for €5, because from Belgium, you could pick, you tell the guy at the store what size shirt you were, like small to like extra large, wherever you are. And then there's like pretty much a mystery box. So you put your hand in this box of whatever size you are, whatever shirt you pick out for €5, that's the shirt you keep. So I guess it's a good way for like people getting rid of old metal band shirts that they don't want anymore. But I mean, what you get out of there is just.
I'd imagine 1 or 2 things. Either you'd get like a mainstream band like Kiss or Metallica or Slayer. That's probably why we see all those guys wearing Metallica shirts.
That's right.
They go to those boxes for €5. Or you'd get some absolutely underground, tree branches logo, all that classic stuff.
Yeah, the guys are just write like on a black text on a white T-shirt.
Yeah, just like they wrote it down and then they smudged it and then they tore the piece of paper up and they sent it to the label and they were like, oh, it's brutal. But Gushi from Firewind, that's when we really start to settle into our experience there. Great performance. They played some of your favourites, Danny, but not enough of the album that you really like from them.
Yeah, that's true. But when I saw them in Brisbane, they pretty much destroyed that album, which was great. But it was just a great experience. Like, some songs you can sing well with, and even though he's power metal, the vocalist is quite powerful, so you never feel like, this is just cheesy.
Yeah, it's never like, and that's such a polarising kind of sound, but... Again, that's if you like it, it's fun. Going to our next band, which was on the next stage right after it, classic melodic death metal from Gothenburg, Soilwork, we're playing.
Yeah, I mean, like, seriously, this is if you just need to look at the lineup of Grasspop and you just be amazed of all the bands and the caliber of bands playing on this like one weekend in Belgium of all places. It's like, where's Belgium? It's tucked away so far south that. I think it's below, isn't that what? Is that little island below Australia? Isn't that Belgium?
Yeah, that's
no
right.
one knows what Belgium is. We didn't even know what it was.
We spent 18 hours on a plane, but I reckon they were just pulling our noggin. I reckon they just drove us to the next airport and just like, this is Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium.
Sure, it's fine. But what was more important was the set list. I think was pretty familiar. I remember seeing him in Australia, and I could have sworn the first 6 tracks they played were straight from the same set list. Great set list it was, but I don't know how I felt. I was really happy because they were playing such great songs, but also like I missed some of the songs that I didn't get to hear. So, what do you think, Danny?
Oh yeah, look, I don't mind because the last couple of albums for work I haven't really been paying much attention to. So most of these songs were like the classic songs, so I knew them, so I could sing along. So
yeah, it was perfect.
I enjoyed it. They did a good show. It was great.
Yeah, we left Soilwork and checked out a band that very few people that I know about, but I got put on them by Andrew Hogue. Hashtag, there you go, mentioning my best buddy. Put us back on the AndrewHogueRadio.com.
Hashtag, we want send a check to to Metal Brothers at hotmail.com.
But we saw a band called Carrick Angren. Now, these guys are Kiss, if Kiss were even more satanic than Satan himself. The darkness of the production, their sound, their look was incredibly... It was almost like it kind of threw me off a bit. But there were some things we didn't like about it, Danny.
Yes. The problem with these black metal bands is that they feel like their metal is like theatrical, and they have to like between songs talk and be all brooding and all like macabre. And
I just went to the shops and I bought a hamburger.
Yeah, it's just like, they're like, nah, I don't care about your stories. I don't care about what you're trying to say. And the problem is you can't even hear what they're saying anyway because they keep speaking with like a growl. So they're trying to be like deep and profound, but I don't know what they're saying. So just stick to the songs, mate. I don't give a shit. I don't hear you talking about this stuff on your CD.
Yeah, it's
play your songs. Move on. If you want to write about, make a blog, and if I feel like I want to hear your thoughts and feelings, I'll read your blog, mate. But just don't do it.
I had a different problem with Carrick Angren. Daniel obviously grievances are his own, and I'm sure they're well redocumented and researched. But the one thing I had a problem was the guitarist on the day playing some songs that I actually have off their album here, and he had a bit of trouble playing some of this stuff, and I was a little bit concerned because they were so clean and so precise in the production, but not hearing him do it there just made me feel a little bit detached. I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's a guitarist that might struggle. Maybe he's way too much face paint on, or
yes, right,
or maybe the black metal production they need to carry over. But their production of the CD was good, so maybe they're the opposite from black metal bands, where the live scene has to be bad, but then the CD is good. I don't know. I was a little shocked.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I mean, I don't know, it would be so negative in every band. I guess one of the positive things is they actually had ballerinas and ballet dancers.
Oh, they were great. No, their side performance was really dark. And if you're familiar with their style of singing, it's very, very depressing. It's very cool. No, like, again, this is only a small thing I had a problem with, but everything else was like, I don't think you'll ever get to experience these guys in Australia. They're low niche. They are so... Honestly, I don't think the people who even know them really know them. They're that hard to get a hold of.
You can't because they wear paint. You don't know who they are. It could be your neighbour. I don't know.
So after seeing Carrick Angren, we went over to see some other hard rock bands. I think Monster Magnet or something were playing. Who were some of the other hard rock bands?
We saw that Monster Truck band.
Monster Truck, sorry. Yeah. We saw Monster Truck. Again,
yeah, right. Like Stoner Rock, is it?
Yeah, and they had a lot of that for Grasspop, you know. We weren't too familiar with the Stoner Rock, but it was great to see how much that balanced it, you know, with Soundwave. You'd get punk or pop or anything in that kind of alternate scene. But this is all metal or a very hard rock. So it was very cool. It was very, very cool.
Yeah, no, they do a good job, and it's just great. It shows you all the diversity that you can get in the festival, which is, you know, you take for granted sometimes. I know people want to just hear their bands and hear their own sounds, but like, for example, you hear that band, which I didn't know existed, but you go to the concert, you go to a festival, you see that band, they're actually pretty good, and I might actually start listening to some of their stuff. So that's what's always a good thing about these festivals.
So yeah, after seeing, we went to see Monuments play after Carrick Angren, but then we were prepared for, I don't think anyone can be prepared for this, but we saw in the flesh God Apocalypse play around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and Danny, this was definitely one of the strongest bands of the day.
Oh, it was fantastic. They actually played in like a massive like enclosed like circus tent type area, so you had this like dark area, and it was raining outside, so you had like this cold and brooding feeling, and you had this dark temple sitting in, and you could barely see because there's barely any lights inside. Again, it's dark, so I mentioned the dark word again. And
yeah, they came outside the intro of the King album, all of a sudden that sets the tone up. Then all of a sudden this chick, you could just tell it was going to be a beast of a vocalist comes out. She was a beast of a woman, mind you, but for a good reason. She absolutely ate up every single note that she sang. She was phenomenal. She comes out with this massive
Trident or something.
Lord of the Rings,
Spectre
thing,
Trident,
smashing
spear.
on the ground. Then the drummer comes out. You just knew that everything was coming out was going to be big and monumentous.
Yeah, they had the smoke machines going, man.
Oh, the live production had 2 massive monitors, but they just played an incredibly strong set list. Lots of stuff off King, some of the stuff as well from the previous albums before those ones. So most of it was literally the King. It was the Labyrinth. And also the one with the Violation, that album on as well. So it was quite the Agony. Sorry, yeah, that was. Oh, they were so proud of this that they actually put it on YouTube. Can you believe that, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Why not? I mean, that's good. Again, it's a good way for them to advertise to the greater world what they've actually done, what they accomplished. It's got like a CV in the end.
Oh, the funny thing was, I've actually seen DVDs from bands when they do a live performance. Like God forbid, for example, have less production, and they're actually selling a DVD, and these guys were giving it to you free on YouTube. It was phenomenal. I think these guys are doing a real service to metal, not only with their sound, but doing really cool stuff like that. Just really get on these guys. We know King's going to be one of the albums of the year for sure, and seeing them live and seeing how they present themselves, their dress up, their sound production, everything is done with so much amount of purpose and pre-thought. Metagame strong with them. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, no, definitely. They have a great sound. Having the opera singer there actually live, like on the CD, she's there, of course. But when they tour around the world, it's hard for them to find a opera singer, a soprano, whatever it is, to come with them. So for her to actually be there was actually great to fill in the gaps that it would exist if she wasn't there. It was good to hear.
So we're really happy to see them. We thought we were going to be disappointed with the next band because how would you ever? Even get close to such an amazing performance. But we saw the local boys play Heaven Shall Burn on the main stage with what must be one of the best setups for a live band that I've ever seen, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, I've remember seeing Heaven Shall Burn again, Soundwave, may it rest in peace. Again, several years ago. I didn't know much about back then, but they look like a very professional setup. A lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. The sounds alright. Yeah, like I'm not the biggest fan of the genre, but it's
I think it was extra special because they were Belgian for one thing, so all the fans were getting behind it like it was their favourite soccer team. You could just tell everyone knew all the lyrics to all their songs. They were incredibly passionate. The mosh pit was insane, but the band respected it and gave back to him. The lead singer was incredibly charismatic, incredibly energetic, to the point where his red shirt, I could see his nipples through it. He was just sweating like profusely, Danny.
Yeah, I wouldn't mention the nipple part.
No, they need to know. They need
a full experience.
You need to be there, right? And Heaven Shall Burn, again, are a great band. If you're into metalcore or that kind of heavy sound, they actually claims it as one of the best bands of it. And after seeing that performance with the massive backdrop that looked amazing, all this army-inspired stuff like those sandbags and all these big barbed wire and all that, it was a complete experience. It was brutal, and they did not stop the whole time.
Yeah, no, it's great. Oh, it's a great show. Yeah, you can tell just being involved around that crowd who really get into the band always helps you lift up and makes you enjoy it better. So that definitely it was good. It was good to see.
So we saw a couple other bands throughout that day as well. Not for very long, obviously, because we wanted to make sure we can catch some of the other bands that we really went to see. But again, like a lot of hard rock, a lot of that stoner metal was there for us. Literally, there's a whole stage dedicated to it. But the next band everyone knows, but also have become infamous for their live performances. Danny, we saw Disturbed. Interesting.
Yeah, this is the first time I saw Disturbed, and I was actually excited to see him because everybody talks about him. I've got a couple of albums, and albums is a bit of a stretch. It's one album they just
remastered 5 times.
Yeah. So we've heard their album, and I was looking forward to it, but unfortunately, the singer, I don't know his name, he just killed it for me. He did a well, hit the stuff. Apart from this falsetto thing, kind of makes it a bit weird, but he just doesn't smile. He doesn't really get energized. He doesn't put any. This is like he wasn't any thought effort into it. He just killed it.
David Draham, I think his name is.
Okay.
Dan Donegan's the guitarist, which I'm a massive fan on. He gave a great performance. He was incredibly passionate. He was very expressive with his body language, but his guitar work is very, very strong. I think even his guitar solos and that, he knows his stuff. And unfortunately, like Dan was saying, Draham really looked like the crowd was there to entertain him, and including this one brilliant story. Danny, you know the one I'm talking about, when he gets the fans. He gets the fans' reactions, and what does he do, Danny?
Yeah, like, normally when you go to like a country, like a lot of bands when they come to Australia, they'll start like the Aussie, 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 oi, 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 Aussie, oi. They chant because they want to show the fans they appreciate them, and they'll say, "I'm part of your culture." And I'm like, "We're like amigos, man. Hombres. I'm here to and I really appreciate you being here." But this guy here, mate, instead of him doing that, he does the opposite. Instead of him thanking the crowd, he's like, no, you should thank me. So he started like a chant. I guess it's like Belgium's version of Aussie, Aussie, oi, oi. He was like, nah, 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 nah. And instead of saying Belgium goes, nah, 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 Disturbed. And he's like, come on, crowd, now you do it. Yay!
Yeah, I kind of felt like the crowd at first were like, for real? Like, it was a bit quieter. Normally, the crowd would respond to anything where it was crowd participation. But the crowd was a little bit like, do we need to? But eventually, I guess, generally, a larger percentage than half did it. But you really got the feeling because he was walking around the stage the whole time. He was very going through the motions with his vocals. His middle range was strong. He can do it naturally quite well. But his higher range and his lower range were just so weak and just not very. It didn't grab you enough. He was very much. He's done it. He deserves. You get the impression that he feels like he's entitled to a big stage presence and one that if I was on stage, I never would have taken that for granted. But it felt like he did a little bit.
Yeah, if you go back like to the Heaven Shower Burnley singer, he actually got everybody to start like a wave from the going. Instead of like makes a wave going left to right, he got it from the front of the crowd all the way to the back of the crowd. And the Heaven Shower Burnley guy, he's like, all right, but I want you to do this for me because it'll be great. Yeah. And gets all the crowd excited, having fun. Yeah. But then the Disturb guy goes, no, I want you to show your appreciation for me by singing a song or doing a chant that I've told you to chant. Like, it's not like you've spontaneously done it, like, when you want a band to come back for an encore because you're so appreciative of being there. No, it's like near the start or the middle of the set, and he's like, yeah, you think you should cheer me for being here. You're welcome. You're welcome, Belgium.
Yeah.
You're welcome for me being in your country.
They did play their classic songs, which was good, Stupefy and Down with the Sickness, stuff from Indestructible. I think it was only one off the Asylum album, which was weird. It was mostly... But the disappointing thing, and even more so than David Draymond's performance, is the two cover songs during the set.
Covers.
One, Sound of Silence. Now, depending how you feel on this, I heard people, obviously they've been played in every single radio station across not only Australia but the world. So it's got a strong response, but then he came out as a treat for us, apparently, with Motley Crue's Nicky Sixx and did Shout the Devil. And by that time, I was like, I could be hearing anything. I could be hearing all this. I don't think they played enough of the Believe album, Prayers or Liberate or anything. I was at that point. I was like, this is definitely David Dram's show.
Well, for like a 45 to 50 minute set to play like two cover songs in there, that's like a fifth of your time, whatever it is. You've just lost to like covers, and again, after he does Sound of Silence. That's yeah, okay. But wait.
This is great. Danny's so angry.
Oh, mate, this is stupid. But for that part, look, to be fair, they did a nice job. He got like a little ensemble out to play like the melodic parts, and that was quite nice. It sounded good, man. Nice and warm, fit the tone of the song, etc. But after he finished the song, he just didn't like finish it, and then people clap, and then he goes. He bowed. It's like you are welcome, Belgium. You are welcome that I did a cover song and that you all are just amazed, and you should appreciate my genius of doing a cover song.
He's a bigger heel than Kevin Nash in NWO, than The Rock was in the Nation of Domination. This guy needs to be in wrestling, not in rock, because he's such an antagonist. He's a bad guy. Literally, he's a bad guy who's in a good band. He's in with Dan Dognigan, and he's getting... Oh, I don't get it. I'm literally, like you said, Danny, but the way he is...
The smugness...
off the radar.
I couldn't believe this
South
guy.
He's
one of those guys who orders those bullshit flat white decaf mocha organic coffees. It's him.
Yeah.
He's the man. Don't teach your kids Disturbed, all right?
Yeah, so, yeah, that's hilarious. So let's talk about something that made us very happy. Because even though, just when they were good with their songs and, the register was cool, but this is a band that took us off guard, but for great reasons. Foreigner, 40-year anniversary, I think it was, Danny, coming to Grasspop.
Yeah, this was, it doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the lineup. And I know we have like classic bands, like we'll have they had Sabbath there, and they had Maiden there, and
Kiss,
Megadeth.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, but Foreigner, But a lot of these guys are doing these big camps. Like Foreigners come back, Europe's come back.
Yep.
They're changing the sound now. So.
But the best thing about it is a lot of metalheads get it, and they were singing every song, cold as ice. I don't think I've ever heard a crowd so loud. And every fan there was pulling these beautiful love ballads to each other. And then there was like, oh my gosh, this orgy of awesome. It was amazing. Yeah.
They got some black metal shirts and everything. They're just getting fully into it, embracing it. Because look, a lot of these pop rock bands, whoever you want to call them, they actually are really talented musicians. So
yeah, songs like Double Vision when they first came out was like, wow, I remember hearing this on the Angry Video Game Nerd, just such an amazing array of songs. Literally ask your mum and dad about any song and they'll tell you all about Foreigner because they were on everything. Yeah,
the interesting thing about Foreigners, they got like most of these older bands, they get like the young new lead singer back because the original lead singer
can't hit an octave over,
can't hit an octave, 3 octaves low C. Probably have fisticuffs with the guitar, so you never might have passed on. I'm not too sure.
Drug related, that's a good one.
Not sure if Foreigners case.
Not all Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, that's right. We just can't keep going and going and going. But the funniest thing about this lead singer, it's just, I think he I don't know, over felt the passion of his band because he was getting overly excited and enthused. He'd be like, yeah, we're effing Foreigner, we're the best.
He swore a lot.
He's like, come on, let's get effing excited about this. Yeah, it just it was too passionate. I'm like, take it down a notch, man. You're Foreigner. All right?
If your flesh god, I would have put it, but Foreigner, I'm like, no, dude, this is weird.
If you're freaking
me out.
Yeah, if you're like Lamb of God,
face paint on.
Yeah, he's like, he wanted to start like a circle bit, like, fucking man, let's get a circle bit, going, yeah, Foreigner.
Yeah, it was a little jarring to see him drop F-bombs and talk about how he's going to make sweet love to your mum. But then again, it was Foreigner, so he would get away with it. They honestly would have impregnated anyone over 40 just with that guy's voice.
Yeah, it was great to see, and he was having fun, and he
awesome.
sounded great. They were fine.
It brought us back to why people want to go to these big festivals, because all of a sudden you're not just there with a billion people. You're there with a billion people sharing an amazing experience, singing together, dancing together. I just can't tell you how much I missed it as soon as I got there. I was like, this is going to be one of those special things, and hopefully Legion can recreate those experiences for the community once again. I'm sure they're going to be there to support him. Finishing it off, though, Danny, we had to leave a bit early because Belgium's buses aren't very forgiving.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, the only band we kind of really missed was King Diamond, which I wasn't too really about. Sorry for the King Diamond fans out there. And then also Black Sabbath, which we saw a couple of months ago.
Yeah, we saw them.
Yeah,
anyway.
I didn't really... Yeah, I'm sorry, but I wasn't too excited about seeing them again because Ozzy just... again... Previous podcasts, yes, I know we're repeating ourselves, but...
Yeah, funny enough, Ozzy Osbourne still feels compelled to keep singing after Black Sabbath. He still wants to do a solo project. I don't know if that's going to work, but he does bring good guitarists on board, so
yeah,
we'll wait and see.
Maybe just stays around the C scale, just sings Ode of Joy over and over again.
You got 3 notes, Ozzy.
Yeah, 3 notes.
Don't move.
Mary Had Little Lamb.
Yeah.
But the last band we saw was another classic, was Megadeth. So we only saw a couple of songs then, but at least I finally saw Megadeth live. So that was great.
Yeah, not with Chris Older. Obviously, he was out of there by then. He's playing with Dirk Verbulen, who was actually doing double duty because he also played with Soilwork, and anything that guy touches is amazing.
I get 2 paychecks this week.
So that was cool, but again, you get to see an amazing guitarist. You see Dave Mustaine, and he's also got a new sidekick at the moment, whose name Kiko Loreno, who's like this massive guitarist. He can play anything in any speed at any time. Just a tremendous talent. So great, and he played fun enough, played some stuff of Rust in Peace for us before we got to leave. So that was cool.
Yeah, no, it was great. So our experience with Grasspop, I think, was very positive one, and very, very, very appreciative that we could experience the whole culture and just the metal culture in Europe, and how similar it actually is to the people the metalheads you meet around the world are like the metalheads you meet
in Adelaide. Yeah, in Adelaide. Absolutely.
Easy going, great. Even Matt, for example, had his backpack and we left the zip open by mistake.
That's right.
This massive 6'6" tank of a Russian dude literally points to Matt's bag and speaks to a Russian and then he says, and we indicate Matt's bag's open. So straight away we tied up. But just those good deeds like that and the kindness of these metalheads, it's just found everywhere.
Everyone's very accommodating. It's exactly why you're right, Danny. It's like being at Soundwave, which is funny enough being home for a lot of people because they just find themselves right at home in festivals. So we'll leave it at that and move on to our feature presentation. And And that's talking about Richie Blackmore experience, but we're not going to say Rainbow, even that's what the flyer says. Danny,
that's right, that's what my ticket
why
says.
are we not going to say it's Rainbow?
Yeah, probably because like 50% of the set list was Deep Purple songs.
Yeah, and for a lot of people who were waiting to see songs like, or hear Gates of Babylon, for example, or Kill the King, and going home sad that they had to listen to Smoke on the Water.
Yeah, it's just like, you had Deep Purple's been around and been playing continuously since like Black Richie left. Rainbow stopped in the early 90s and has only come back for these last 3 shows. Yeah. We caught the last, like maybe he might come back in next year. Unlikely. So we saw one of his last 3 shows. We're claiming it one of the last 3 shows of all time. And for him to play like Deep Purple songs, it's kind of like when you go out with your missus and you go to a restaurant and she brings her really attractive like sister with her. It's like, yeah, I'm really glad she's come and I really enjoy looking at her. But I've seen her a lot lately, and I just want to spend time like focusing on you, aka Rainbow.
That's right. So yeah, it was a little bit like of a disappointment, you know, and that's the way. And you knew she wasn't going to go home with that night because she's had to take her sister and drop her sister off at ballet practice or something. So
yeah, so the night came to an end. Like I guess most of my nights.
Yeah, so talk about some of the highlights of your time there. I know there are a couple there that got you a little bit teary-eyed, you know, like it was raining in there. Tell me about some of those experiences, Danny.
Well, first, just getting through the door was absolutely brilliant because we were getting our tickets. We had to go through like one of these like Ticketmaster getmein.com. It's like it's like in Europe.
It sold out 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, it sold out 5 minutes. It wasn't a big venue. It was kind of like an old school entertainment center. It had about like 16,000 people.
That's right.
So we got our tickets pretty much like through online, pretty much a scalping websites that they're all legal. They've done it all through Europe. I think it's complete crap.
So
anyway, we got through.
Well, we paid double the amount for a ticket. Ugh. We traveled 18 hours on 2 planes, and we played at least 2 or 3 grand just to get there. And what were we going to feel if we got to the door and these tickets weren't going to work? It was the biggest problem we thought we were going to have on our whole trip. But thankfully, Danny, not even a single problem.
No, we got in, which was great. So that was a bit of relief, and it actually had a really cool thing in the venue, like the foyer area. They actually had like a little small band like playing before the show started.
That was good too.
Yeah, they were cool bands. So like I thought that was a really clever idea. I think more venues here might have to consider.
Well, it brought a massive crowd with them too. Like honestly, if you were playing in the foyer for Rainbow, you'd probably get a bigger turnout than you would play in your local or even like, you know, a stone's throw away in a stage or a club. Like it would have been a good gig for them.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like, and they also had like another band before Rainbow as well, some Amber something, some just folk rock band. Like the lead singer was fantastic. Chick was great, but the rest of the band was like, yeah.
Yeah, that was probably, unfortunately for them, when you play with a massive band, like no one there wants to see it. And I guess that's why big bands get bands like that sometimes, because they know they're here to see us. All you're going to do is make them wish they were seeing us quicker. Yeah. And for them, they'll like it. And unfortunately for anyone who were playing with Rainbow, because unless you were Dio, the man himself, I don't think anyone would have cared about it too much.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess we'll get on to Rainbow and the Richie Blackmore experience. So first thing first, they had the classic rainbow LED lighting around the stage.
So awesome. I don't think a rainbow could be that awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So wrong.
Yeah, no, so that was great. So yeah, you had the classic like the tour they did through like Germany stuff back in the 70s. So seeing that rainbow at the top it brought back all the nostalgia there. So that was great to see.
Yeah.
And first thing you see is like Richie Blackmore dead middle. Like he started with a solo and stuff, and they start with Highway Star, so he starts with the guitar work a bit. So he's like dead center of stage, and then the new lead singer's to the left there. He did a fantastic, absolutely brilliant job. What's his name? Ronnie Romero? Donnie Romero,
right.
The new guy.
Does a disservice because we've seen him with his other band doing covers of Dio songs. Unfortunately, his band cannot hold it to him. They are holding him back. Ronnie Romero, do something about it, leave, or just kick them up the bum because you are so much a better singer than that.
Yeah, so they were great. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You wouldn't call him Dio, of course. He's his own man. He's more of like the Jolene Turner, David Coverdale type of singer. But the
power was all
great.
there.
The power was there. The range and the control, fantastic. But I guess the highlights were after I did Highway Star, they did Mistreated was great. Because everybody did like the slow clap with Mistreated, like din, bam, bam, and everybody like knew the words, and that was great. Then after that, they go straight into like Since You've Been Gone, which is like, it was one of their songs they did like in the 80s when they wanted to like start hitting the American market, and it's just cheesy goodness, man. It's like cheese pizza with cheese stuffed crust, and cheese in the dough. You can't get more cheese in this song, but it put a massive smile on my face.
Yeah, it's like you could go through a pizza or the song through about the same time if you like it that much, because it's like 2 minutes 30 seconds. It's really short or something, but it's, like you said, it's all good the whole time. Fantastic. What do you think about stuff like Soldier of Fortune, where the whole crowd got behind it and started singing?
Yeah.
Or Catch the Rainbow, anything like that?
Yeah, and they're great. Australia had their ballads chucked in there as well, which I think was they were maybe a bit too many of the slow songs together, but that was cool. Even they had like the little solos and stuff, which were great. The keyboard is a monster, but after they went back into another slow song.
Yeah, that kind of sucked a little bit.
That kind of sucked, but yeah. But Soldier of Fortune, Catch the Rainbow, great songs you can just sing along to because they're nice, slow paced, good melodies, and they have meaning behind them. So hearing the whole crowd sing this was fantastic.
Yeah.
Then they cut into like Perfect Strangers, like I don't know, Deep Purple like staple, but I love the ending they do where they change up how the chorus is, so that was very powerful. Like dun, dun.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that, all right, if you had to see any song, Perfect Strangers would be good to see which react was, but because you got Steve Morse doing the actual Deep Purple guitars, and he's no mean feat. I mean, the guy John Petrucci happily admits that he rips them off, so you can tell this guy's at a certain level, and he's doing it with Ian Gillan and stuff. So hearing songs like Black Knight and Smoke in the Water towards the end was, yeah, it's like fan service, but your Rainbow crowd was there, and you didn't play some of those staples that I thought, and that was the only thing I was like, oh, if they play it, I'm gonna lose my shit. And for me, I loved it. It was amazing. I would love to have heard those songs live, but when we heard Stargazer, I guess everything was washed away.
Stargazer. I mean, they actually didn't do like the first like intro part where they did the drum roll. They just cut it straight into the dun, 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 dun. And when I knew what they were playing, I stood up. Yeah. And I was like, yes!
Yeah, Daniel popped.
By
that crowd time, everyone in the crowd was up, and they were standing for the rest of the set list, which was only another 3 songs after that anyway.
Yeah.
But, the guy next to me turned to me and shook my hand and said, how amazing was that? I'm like, yeah, we probably won't get to experience that. It is one of the best songs ever written in rock and metal, and if you don't know what I mean, it's like if Led Zeppelin were like at the height of the game all the time for one song. I mean, it's just like that song is just unbelievable.
Stargazer is the most brilliantly written piece of music. If this was done 200 years ago, when this person would have been like Richard Blackmore would say a famous German composer, this song would be like the pinnacle song that everybody would want to learn. Because honestly, this song here is just so brilliantly well written, so powerful, so poignant, so potent.
It can never be recreated. No. Even like a juggernaut like Dream Theater, who can play every note anytime. They're like the musical alphabet, they can recite it
that's good.
At 300 BPMs. They couldn't recreate it. They couldn't even get close. I mean, Jamie Lisborough is probably one of the reasons why, but it was, it has a staleness. Everyone who even tries will never get the emotion or the raw impact that they did. And Richie Blackmore was so he just loved it. You could just tell he was fist pumping in the air. He was hugging the crowd after certain songs, and this is one of them.
Yeah, this was great. Normally Blackmore can be a bit of a prude on stage, or a bit of like an arrogant person, and I won't elaborate too much of that. Or sometimes he's walked off stage, or he's barely practiced, and the songs are a bit like sloppy. There's that one time when Deep Purple were on tour in the early 90s, and he just like didn't continue the tour, and I think they got Joe Satch or Steve Vai, one of them too.
I think it was Joe Satch,
to finish off the tour. But this one here, you can really tell that Blackmore loved it, man. You're like Matt saying, he's pumping his fist, getting excited, hugging the crowd. So yeah, he really loved it. But
I think you can tell, you can smell Richie Blackmore when it came to two things. One, the set list itself. Like he was saying, he was playing Deep Purple songs. But two, he was center of the stage. The singer was standing right at the stage for a majority of the concert. He was rarely in front of Richie Blackmore, and Richie Blackmore's guitar was over everything. It was over piano solos. It was over everything. You could hear it all the time. For me, I didn't have a problem with it because, it was his night. And secondly, it's good to see a guitarist like himself get put up like that because everything is around the guitar. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah. Like he's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. This is a German. Like, to be fair, I can understand why he played these Deep Purple songs because he hasn't probably played them live for such a long time. And it's probably his last chance to play them, and he wanted to play them the way he does because even Smoke in the Water, song simple as that, he actually has his own way of plucking the strings when he plays the chord. So he has his own feel to all these songs, and I guess he just wanted to relive that again. And so I can see why he did it. And look, I'm not I'm a little bit upset, like Matt said, because we want to see more of the like Rainbow classic songs. So I haven't heard them ever live, and it'd been good to hear them live. But same time, I'm just glad that I was able to see Richie Blackmore live and Rainbow live, and
it was a lot of people that we know that aired their grievances that we were seeing them, and they had to, because they might not ever experience a performance like that, and especially for someone like me and Daniel who first got into metal through our father and our cousin, who would actually play this on Fridays and Saturdays nights. So when people, so I don't know about you guys, so your dad or parents might play football with you, or they might take you to the movies, or do something that's really good that you connect with. But for us, it was listening to Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. Every Friday and Saturday night, we'd sit down and we would just take it in, and that's how we would do it. And so these songs are very much resonated very strongly with us, and to see Richie Blackmore play them live and not without missing a beat was really much. You just can't ever tell people that. You need to go there, experience it, and for those who didn't, you really missed out something special.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it fresh at that. It was just a great moment in our lives, and I'm really thankful that we could have that night together. It was great.
It was fantastic, and with that, guys, welcome back to our probably longest ever podcast. But we are back now. We'll be doing this weekly again. And we'll go back to our normal format. We're going to talk some seriously cool stuff like the headline news. We're going to do some just regular stuff, CD reviews. But we're also going to reach out to any metal bands out there or anyone interested in being on the show. If they want to do an interview with us, please contact us through Facebook or Twitter. We're more than welcome to have you guys on the show, getting more involved with it. And we'll be putting you over for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we always like to share the enthusiasm and the spirit of metal and everybody's appreciation of it. Or if you're in a band and you just want to get yourselves out there, let us know. We always like to talk to new people, and I understand you guys knew we thought we were away for the last couple of weeks, so I understand the flowers haven't come yet. So just let you know we're back.
Yeah.
So if you want to send the flowers and the chocolates and
you must have forgotten though, because I was waiting for them at the airport. But that's okay, guys. Next time we go back, you can come meet us there. So we're going to review a new city next week called a band called Omophagia. Now these guys here are incredibly brutal, so we're going to kick it off for next week. But until then, I'm Super Metal Brother Matt.
I'm Super Metal Brother Dan,
and we are the Super Metal Brothers here on the old podcast. We will talk to you next week. Have a good one, guys.
Take it easy.